Hi, today's session we're going to be going over real estate vocabulary. This, as y'all have learned and heard, is the key to the test. If you don't know the vocabulary, you're not going to pass the test. As you can see here, I've got this broken down to where on this side we don't have any words. Over here we've got the definitions. This thing is broken down into three pieces. The first 400 lines are just both. You've got the word and the definition. You can scroll down a little further and you've got the word without the definition. And we've scrolled on down here, we're on line 800. Now we don't have the word, but we've just got the definition. So what we're going to do, in your mind now, you ought to be able to look at the definition and give the word. So that's what y'all are going to be doing today for the next, at least 10 minutes. We're going to have land from the center of earth upward to the sky, and I want y'all to tell me what the word is that should be here. Demand, scarcity, utility, scarcity, and transferability. Y'all remember that? That's dust. Yeah, there you go. That's what I want to hear. Okay. Y'all read. We're going to read these down, and y'all give me that. Y'all need to be giving me the answers.
It's our turn today.
Me not handing you the answer. It should be in your head now, to where you should know what goes here. Land from the center of the earth upward to the sky. What is that called?
Real property.
Well,
That's just
It's not.
real property.
Oh.
Land.
Land. Upward to the sky.
We stand on the land.
Right.
okay.
If we're standing on the land, that's real property. See how this is going to work?
That makes sense.
Demand,
Yes.
utility, scarcity, and transferability. That's what gives real property and real estate its value. If there's no demand for it, does it have any value? No, nobody wants it. You can buy real estate probably somewhere out in Nevada or Utah where there are not a whole lot of people. The land's going to be a lot cheaper than it is right here in the middle of the city. So there's more demand here than there is there, so that causes it to have a higher value. Okay? All right. Next one here. This one is real property. Real property is just the land that we're standing on. That's just all we're talking about with real property. Now watch them on the test because they will say real property or real estate.
Yes.
Those are two different terms. Real estate is this one here. The land, which we had the land here. Now we got the land including above and below and anything permanently attached to it. That's still real property. This one down here is the one I was looking for. No, that's a pertinence. Yeah, we're good here. This is anything attached to it and all the rights that run with it. Like when you buy real property, you may have other rights that go along with it, like the rights to sell the minerals under it. You've got the right that people are not going to come and just sit on your land and squat on it. You have the right to tell them to get off. There are other pertinent rights that go with land.
We're going to get air rights and all that.
Air rights, that's what, there you go. That's exactly what we're looking for there. That's the real estate. Estate's what you hold, all the rights and the land and everything else that you're holding together here. All right, next one down there. Personal preference for one property over another. We touched on this one time, but this is a word that they know that you don't know that well. It's called situs. S-I-T-U-S. Y'all remember it now? Situs is your preference for one site over another. So okay, y'all gonna have to. You got all this, and all you folks out there in internet land, this is on the internet. There's where you can get all the PowerPoints, the videos, and everything. New Location Realty. You can print this off, and you've got it. It's free. Right, touchable. All right, touchable and non-touchable. What are the words there?
So you can't untouch it.
I should have told you how to review this before class today.
You can't-
Tangible, there we go, tangible. And if you cannot touch it, it's intangible. There you go, Vanessa, you do. You got it.
I'm working.
Easement, which attaches to one property to allow use by another, but doesn't give them any ownership rights. It just gives them the right to ingress and egress out of property. What's that called? The easement that attaches to one property be used by another.
It's not dominant.
Okay, there you go, dominant
What is it,
easement.
dominant easement?
That attaches to one property to allow the, okay, we have dominant and servient.
Servient, but that's dominant when you are the user.
Yes,
And the
yes.
servient is the usee.
Yeah,
the
getting
one that
used.
you-
The servient's getting used. Servient's serving. What kind of easement attaches to one property, let's see, is cancelable and dies with either party? What kind of permission is that?
That's not not license. Cancelable as permission. Is that license?
I'm looking for personal easement, because that's cancelable. Remember we had the example of the little guy walking across the neighbor's yard to fish in their lake?
Yeah.
As long as both of those people are alive, you can use that easement to go fish. But if either one of them dies, then that easement dies with them.
So what's the difference between that and license?
A license is to temporary use where you like bought a ticket to a movie. That gives you a license to go in and use the movie theater, watch the movie, but there are still restrictions on you. They don't want you jumping up and making a lot of noise. They really don't want you bringing your own snacks in. Those are written in your license.
Right.
Yes.
You got a sport. You got been to a football game lately. You've got to have a clear bag. That's part of the license. And if you won't do what the license said, you don't get in. Okay, that is cancel. This was the what kind of easement is this?
Gross.
It's a gross.
Gross easement.
Gross. They're gross. They're yeah, utilities. I look at it as those utility lines really look gross. But that also applies to easements under, like a sewer, got underground utilities. Those are still gross easements, and they're going to be, running through your land and the one next to you and the one next to you.
Even
And you
cable
can't,
lines.
yeah, this is one of those things where you can't restrict that. You're probably going to find out that that land has got a pretty good bit of, like from the street to the front of your house. A lot of that grass out by the street actually is in an easement right of way for the city to where they can get in there if they need to work on those lines. They can run their machines right along the front part of your grass, carry it all up.
Yeah, that happened to me.
It does. And you sitting out there and said, "You better fix that."
Yeah.
Well, they probably will.
They will.
But they have the right to come in there and work on these gross easements. The process of converting a personal easement to real property.
Servants. No. Process of converting personal property.
Process of converting personal property to real property. Let's
Servants.
see if we can
Annexation?
see if we got anything here that helps us. Process of converting real property to personal.
Taking,
No.
process taking personal property to a real property, take a tree.
This is
Take a
severance. What are we doing here?
It's annexation.
Annexation. That would work. they were in there. Y'all gonna have to, I'm promising, you're gonna have to review all of this before you take the test. All right, what we got? Personal property, that's chattel. Chattel, cattle, moves. Thank you, prep agent. One of the things we stole from him. We don't mind stealing from you. What's the acronym for this one?
Maria.
Maria. There you go. Y'all see it? M-A-R-I-A. All right, personal property that does not become real property when attached. Like a restaurant oven would be an example. Fixtures, yes. Trade fixtures specifically. What do we need to know about trade fixtures?
If you don't take it, it becomes
Real property?
It becomes property of the owner.
Personal property.
You need to get it out before the lease ends, unless you work out something that you can, get it out afterwards. And anything that you've done to attach it to that property, you've got to repair. Like if you put, big bolts and drain lines, you've got to fix all that and bring it back to where it was when you got it. Next one down there, personal property. Well, that's personality. Chattel, cattle, moves. The next one down there, fruits of industry.
Industrials. Fruits and industrials.
There you go. Frutus industrialis.
Industrialist?
Yeah. That's, you've got industrials and you got frutus naturalis.
Yeah, okay.
Natural is like if you look around your house, you've got some trees and things there growing. That's just naturally growing. But if you had a tree farm where you're growing, pine trees to make lumber, that's frutus industrialis.
Okay.
And that also, we have a little word that goes with that, implements. That would be crops that are planted. Now, after your lease is over, if you like leasing this property to grow the crops, those implements are yours. And you can come in and harvest them after your lease is over. Trees, bushes, real products, subsurface, below ground rights. Minerals, yeah, those would be mineral rights. Adjacent lands have rights that water cannot be restricted or contaminated. We only had 2 water rights we were dealing with.
Riparian.
Yeah, riparian. Next one down there, non-flowing.
Lumiere.
That's lunar. Littoral, yeah, littoral rights.
Littoral.
You own those littoral rights to where?
Part of the water.
High water mark on littoral rights. Riparian, if it's navigable water, like a Tennessee River or something that they run barges down, your land rights would go to where?
To the water.
Now, if it's navigable, it's going to go to the edge of the water.
Okay.
If it's non-navigable, your rights go to the center of the water. Gonna be a long morning?
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, this stuff, I should have given you this as an assignment to review this. Well, now you see just where you stand.
Yeah, we didn't know we were gonna cover it today.
Yeah, you didn't know, but this is what the test, when you go and sit in front of the test, you don't know what they're gonna ask you, but I can promise you,
You're gonna be out.
without this, you just might as well not even go take the test.
Oh, don't worry.
All right, Florida, right of ownership of land, evidence of ownership of land.
Not a piece of paper.
Title.
Yeah, not a
Not a deed, so it's a title.
It's a title. There you go. The piece of paper is your clue. The deed shows transfer of ownership at 1 second, one little point in time.
Yeah.
The deed shows that transfer, but the title is not that piece of paper, it's the evidence of it. Government right to take private property for public benefit. The right.
Right, eminent domain.
Eminent domain, yes. So the next one that we need to go with that one is going to be the process.
Condemnation.
Condemnation, yes.
I get it sheet messed up real bad.
Voluntary transfer of private property to public use. Now we had where the government took it and then their process. This one's voluntary.
No,
That's dedication. You can say, I'm going to give the city this 1 acre of land and I want it to be called my park.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dedication. You're giving it to them.
Is that like donating to some of the universities
Yes,
and they
yeah,
make
yes.
a building, you
Yes.
know?
That would
Wallace
be
or whatever?
dedication of the land to the university.
Okay.
Now, remember we had a couple other things that if they don't
Don't
want to
use it
use
for
it
that
for that, we
purpose.
can pull it back, or if they use it for something we said you can't use it for, you can get it back. That was, what was that word? Defeasance. Defeasance. And think of it, defeatable is the way you want to keep that straight in your head. That one was voluntary. This one is action taken by adjacent property owner for damages.
Airport expansion.
Yeah, that's an example.
Sheet.
That's
No.
She when they don't have air.
will, yes.
Oh.
Nine intestates
Okay.
is cheat.
Okay.
Inversion.
There you go.
Inversion.
Yeah.
Conversion.
Condemnation.
Inverse.
Inverse.
It's, what is? Let me look at it.
Inverse condemnation.
Yeah. That's where you're trying to. Let's just say you've got a house that's a mile from the airport, right on the runway.
Yeah.
And they expand the airport a half a mile.
Mm-hmm.
What's that going to do to your property value?
Make it go down.
Probably go down. So you can go and say, all right, you've earned my property, take it.
Mm.
And
Can
you're
you force
forcing them
To buy it.
to buy it from you because they're the ones that earn the value.
Right.
I remember what I've got there, a mobile home, wheel estate.
Manufacturing.
Built off, yeah, okay, I remember what should be there. That's modular.
Oh, modular.
Yeah, this one's modular, built off-site and trucked in. What do we need to know about a mobile home sitting on a piece of land?
It's not.
It's not permanently attached.
Very good, it's not real property. A mobile home is personal property.
Okay. Because it's not attached to.
Amount of goods customers will use and are able to buy at a given price.
Demand.
Demand, yes. This next one is our little graphic. We had our little picture.
With the man.
Yeah, that's demographics. That's grandpa. Growing population. That's holding the baby. And employment rates. They're in the employment office. We've got 3 people standing here holding hands. We got an old person. That is our demographics. That's how much money and resources and credit that they can buy with. Then grandpa's there holding a baby. That's the growing population. And also holding hands with, I've got an unemployed person standing there because they've got time to stand there and hold hands with grandpa and the baby. But it's actually, you're looking at the unemployment rates. If more people are working, then there's more demand for any good or service. So that's our little mental picture.
So what's the answer to that one? Is it?
This is the mental picture that you've got for
That's the-
demand.
Right, demand, right.
Demand.
Okay.
We had one for supply.
Right.
We're going to get to supply here in a couple more lines.
Okay.
Density and distribution of people and characteristic like income and education. That's actually demographics. Amount of goods producers will offer at a given price.
Supply.
Supply. All right, now our picture for supply is this next group right here. We've got a construction worker. Remember what he's doing? He's driving a golden nail into the White House. There's going into the White House, and it goes all the way through the White House into the Federal Reserve. Those are our supply factors. Construction worker, do we have enough people to build the houses? That's the construction. If you don't have enough people to do the work, then we can't build houses. The next one that goes along with that is the gold nail. Well, that's the price of materials. If materials cost too much, you're not going to build as many houses. What if sheetrock was $1,000 a sheet?
Wow.
Yeah, how many houses can we build and sell if it's that much? Well, that's an impact on it.
Impact.
Next one is the White House, where the nail's going into the White House. The White House is government policy. Government policy are things like you can get a deduction on your income taxes for the interest you pay on your home mortgage. That's a government policy. They won't, remember, construction, home construction is the backbone of our economy.
Yes.
Without that,
Yes.
we just flounder around. Last thing on our list was it went into the Federal Reserve. Y'all hear about the Fed raising rates and lowering rates? That's fiscal policy, and it's spelled F-I, not P-H-Y, fiscal policy. Those are our supply factors. All right, number of homes sold in the past year divided by the number of homes sold in the previous month.
Month supply.
A month supply. This is called, it's called some kind of rate. Absorption rate. We did this, didn't we do this the other night? We divided the number of houses that were on the market by the number of houses that are sold.
I did that in the other
I did that in the other class, okay. Okay, absorption rate. You've got to have an absorption rate. Let's just say there are 1,000 houses on the market and we're selling 1,000 houses a month. What would that do to demand? Yeah, there wouldn't be enough supply. I mean, you could get you could just put one on the market and say, here's my price, take it or leave it. Well, if that's all you've got the choice of, you're going to have to take it at whatever price they offer. That's
So
absorption rate.
So the demand goes up and supply goes down?
Well, demand. Well, you say demand's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 houses a month demanded, but we've only got 1,000 on the market each month. Well, if that's the case, you can put whatever price you wanted on it. But let's just say same thing. There's a demand of 1,000 a month, but there are 20,000 houses on the market. Well, what's going to happen there?
Oh my. They're not all gonna be
That's
sold.
a supply and demand on that.
Yeah, that's a supply and demand. Our prices are probably coming down because there's a whole lot to choose from. Principle of substitution
Right.
will kick in there. Current market value minus a mortgage, minus cost of sale, any other fees? What was that called?
Equity.
Equity, yes. Profit earned from the sale of an asset. Be taxed at short or long-term or deferred rates with the 1031. What's that profit? What are we going to do with that?
1031.
A 1031 exchange. Actually, that would be the deferred, if you can defer it out. But what I'm looking for here was capital gains. That's the profit that you made. And it's taxed at different rates depending on how long you held it. Less than a year, it's added to your normal income. That may knock you into another tax bracket. But if you hold it for at least 1 year, then it's going to be taxed at a lower rate, the long-term capital gains, and currently that's at 15%. So, okay, got that? Helpful lesson? Yeah, okay, that's short-term. I mean, that's Yeah, that's short-term capital gains, and that's long-term capital gains. Exchange for like kind, that's our deferred, that's a 1031. Government policy to support its goals, that's monetary policy, government policy, yes. Federal Reserve control of interest rates, that's FIC, fiscal policy. All right, so we're knocking this stuff out. Oh, I see an acronym right there, COLA.
COLA.
COLA, and that's got every contract, you're gonna drink a cola with it. You've got to have consideration. That's something for something, must be in every contract. There's also gonna be an offer, and until they give you the acceptance of that offer, you're not gonna have a contract. Got to have that acceptance back or there's no contract. Remember our legals? We had Sheriff Taylor come in here and tell us about the legals. I think they were written about right here. There were 4 of them. They were writing a legal purpose. That's their purpose, legal purpose. And who was sitting on the legal porpoise? Andy was sitting there. Andy was representing authority. Who else was on the porpoise with him? Floyd, that represented what? Competence, got to be legally competent. And then Opie was on there. That's age. So you got 3 age, competence, and authority, and legal purpose. So we've got those 3 people sitting on a legal porpoise. Okay, legally enforceable set of promises. What's that called? Contract. One party fails to perform. What's that called? Breach. Yes, y'all know this stuff. It'd be easier if I had the words over here. But so, no, we're not going to learn anything just by throwing the words up. You're going to have to work backwards
to get it.
The test is not going to be just, tell me what this means. They're going to give you the definition and you got to tell them. All right, something added. Yeah, there we go. Addendum. And this one's going to be amendment. You're amending the contract after it's created. Agreement to allow a buyer to purchase or not at a future date with no contingencies.
Walt Disney.
Well, yes, that was the example. That's what they used. They used an option. Yes.
Agreement to allow buyer to
Further
purchase.
dates.
At a future. Yeah, she did. Did I spell it wrong?
It's future. You got future.
Okay. Sometimes, well, I got that lead man.
I just try to find something to future date.
Yeah, give me a key to
Yeah.
the answer. Yeah.
Option.
This contract, I say 2 contracts, lease for a period and a sales contract.
Bilateral.
Well, that's going to be like a lease purchase.
Lease purchase.
You're giving them a lease
right
for a
to
while
purchase.
and then the right to buy at some future date.
Lease purchase.
Something for something,
Something for a promise.
that's a contract, yeah.
Oh, lease purchase.
Good.
Consideration.
Consideration, yeah, we've got 2 different kinds, good or valuable. Provision in contract requiring a certain act be done before contract becomes binding.
Contingency.
Contingency, yes. One party offers to do something or something in return.
Bilateral.
One part offer to
Offer
offer
something.
something.
An offer, yes.
Offer.
That's an offer. And once it's accepted, we've got a 2-sided bilateral contract. But right there, that's
And
just
unilateral is, okay, that's how I remember.
like a unicycle, one offering. A response to the offer with another offer.
Counter.
That's a counter offer, and it's still a unilateral. Because even though they sent it to you as a unilateral, you made a mark on it. When you made that mark, it killed that person, just like you took this thing and just stabbed the contract with it. It's dead. Now, if you'd have just signed it and sent it back to them, then we've got a two-sided bilateral contract. All right, response, let's say, meeting of the minds.
Is that a counter?
Now, meeting of the minds.
Exception.
Acceptance, yes. We're on the same page. All right, one-sided, this is unilateral.
Oh,
Yeah.
Promises made by two sides, that is a bilateral. I promise I'll do this if you will do that, or not do that. It can be a positive or negative.
Duress.
Yeah, duress.
Okay. Elder, yeah, that's duress. Is that void or voidable?
Void.
Void.
It was,
Void.
boy, it was
Void.
never valid from the
It's never
beginning
valid.
because they lacked,
Competence. Or,
yeah, that would be what they could be.
yeah, could be competence, she just was under stress or duress.
Contract in writing expressing terms.
Specific.
Well, I got part of the answer in there for you.
Well,
What kind of contract is that?
Underwriting.
Express.
An express
Oh,
contract.
okay.
You've expressed, here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We don't have any, just not sure how this is going to work.
And then the next one is implied.
Implied, okay?
Needs to be done.
Close contract executed.
Exculpatory.
Yes, yes. We got those three: execute. We got execute. This just means sign. Executory is there's still
Process.
contingencies to be done, and then executed means it's all done.
Okay.
We've closed it. If that's kind of our next two or three we got there.
Yeah.
All right, and then a bilateral contract between broker and principal to pay a commission if the broker sells the property.
Listing.
A listing contract. Now, a listing contract, is that agency or non-agency?
Agency.
Can be either one.
Oh,
Yes, you
And
can
that's
do
on
a
my
listing,
list.
you can do a listing contract that's not agency. Remember we talked about the guy in Miami? He's got all
Yeah,
these
yeah,
listings up here?
The for sale by owner.
Yeah, the for sale by owners. He doesn't have agency with any of those people,
no.
but minimum service law kicks in. Minimum service says he's got to give them a recad, got to produce a net sheet with the offer, and must transmit the offers in a timely manner. That's the minimum service, even if you don't have agency with them.
So you still have to submit the offers
Yes,
with those.
yes, because you're a licensee, you must do that. Okay, the next one, transferring rights or interest in an instrument to another.
D? No.
Transferring rights or interest.
Assignment.
Assignment, there we go. I couldn't remember that one myself. I'm sitting there thinking, gosh, I hope somebody comes up
That
with an
doesn't sound like
answer.
the definition for assignment. Could you?
It
It
doesn't.
doesn't, does it?
Assignment.
Mortgages are assigned to a secondary market. Large investor or banks.
Secondary what? Primary and secondary, so you got.
Primary, market.
Transfers?
I believe that's an assignment as well, but we're dealing with different things here.
Assignment
You
of
can do an
mortgage.
assignment like, you can buy a condo at the beach because you know it's gonna be worth twice as much before it ever gets finished, and you can assign that contract to other people and make money under each term. But this one is the assignment of the mortgage, because when you get up from the mortgage table, before you get back out to the car, you get a text, well, your mortgage has been sold to somebody into the secondary market. And that'll be like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Now watch that they put Sally Mae on there, because Sally doesn't buy mortgages, Sally does student loans. But we know these words, and they're gonna throw one of them in there that they're expecting you to, oh, that looks good. Let me take that one. Transfers or refers to any document that transfers title to real property.
Is that the deed?
That's the deed.
Notarized?
Notarized. What's the other word for notarized?
Acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement. Yes.
Acknowledgement, okay. Yeah.
Vanessa's sitting over there real quiet, like she's not paying attention. She's right there with us. Okay. A contract that appears to be valid, but may be voided by the minor. What's this contract called?
Voidable.
Voidable. In Alabama, you must be 19 or 18 and married. What was the word I'm looking for
Oh,
there?
yeah, I thought it was 19 in there.
You gotta be 19 to sign a contract here, or 18 and married.
Yeah,
Valid?
Um,
No?
I forgot what word I was looking for there. Yeah, but that's one of
A
the,
minor?
Minor.
Oh, they would be a minor.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a
That's
valid
what's on here.
contract though.
yeah, if they're under that, that'd be a minor. That may be what I was looking for. You know, when I do 800 of these at once, they start running together.
On an Excel spreadsheet at that.
You can canceling of a contract.
Counter.
Back to the original.
Rescission, yes.
Oh.
Rescission?
We're going back to our original position, where everything,
Oh, you don't go back with counter, no you don't. It ends, it terminates.
Right.
Yeah.
substituting a new contract.
I know that one. Oh my God. See, if they gave me a choice of words, I could pick it.
That's why I'm not giving you the choice of words.
That's what's throwing
You
me
need to
off.
pull that word out based on what you see in here. Substitute.
Novation.
Novation.
Novation, yes.
I know that.
Ernest put up earnest money to show he's earnest about doing the deal.
Ernest.
Earnest money, I guess is what we're looking for there.
Yep.
Keep all those earnests
Yep.
running together and you'll pull that one out. An amount predetermined as the total damages for breach. Liquidating damages, yes. Legal action to compel a party to fulfill terms of a contract. You almost there.
Special performance.
Yeah, specific
Specific
performance. Law that requires instruments involving real estate to be in writing to be enforceable.
Statutory,
Not
not fraud. Is it
Statute of fraud.
Statute of fraud, there we go.
She's a statutory, okay. She got us though.
Yeah.
And that's the way they'll throw it. Statutory, statute.
Yeah, yeah.
A document, another word for a document is
Instrument.
instrument. Law that puts time limits to bring an action in court.
Statute of limitations.
There you go, that's another
Okay,
one of
statute of
statute,
limitations.
statutory, statute of limitations. Clause and, let's say, loss of rights due to a delay in asserting your claim.
This thing about the essence, some about, time.
Yeah, time is a,
Latches.
Well, that's
I'm not
what,
sure that-
that is, it is time of essence, but we're looking for a word here.
Another word?
Latches.
Latches, yes.
I've never heard of that though.
Well, maybe it won't be on your test, but if it is, you'll be able to
Yeah.
bring it up there.
Yeah.
All right, another topic. Long-term plan for land use, local controls by the county.
Master plan.
Master plan, yes. Written government permission to construct or alter a structure.
Building permit.
Building permit.
Oh, the
Government.
Yeah, building permit.
Construction, should have thought.
And they come out and we talked about each level's got to be inspected. And then after all the inspections are done, they give you a certificate of occupancy. Let's see. Government permission to use structure. Oh, that's a position. I got one ahead. Maybe I should keep reading before I start talking. Permission to allow use that conflicts with zoning, such as a daycare in a residential area.
Conditional use permit. Condition.
A conditional or a variance.
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
And let's just say the daycare was already there and they built the community around it. That property would be grandfathered in. It would be able to continue to operate as that
But if it's destroyed.
until it was destroyed or changed ownerships. And then that variance goes away.
So what is the non-conforming? I mean, no, wait, I don't know my brains.
So let me ask you a quick question. You say if ownership changes, so what if the person was still gonna have a daycare there? No, it's only for whoever owned it and what it was at that time. Okay.
So it would create a hardship on that owner if you came to them now after you've been running this business all this time and they said, well, you can't do that anymore here. That would be a hardship on them. But a new person coming in, they've got other things they can do with their money to invest it. So it wouldn't be a hardship on them to not do that. Okay, I see another acronym there, government powers. Pete. Yeah, Pete's got power now. And we're
Do we do 908 power given the local government?
okay.
Taxation and East.
Well, police power is
Pete.
handed down from the state. Taxation is one of those things that they allow them to do. Eminent domain is legal authority. Condemnations process is cheat, dying without heirs.
They take your stuff.
That's how you remember that one.
Eminent
They take it.
domain.
Not a sheet.
I think
It's sheet.
They taking the property, ain't it?
If she is down without heirs, but you're
I'm right
asking, eminent
here.
domain is legal authority.
You cheat.
Condemnation is the process.
Yeah.
Okay,
Dying
yeah.
without air.
That's like three things together.
Yeah, I don't remember what word I had out here, but I was giving you clues.
Oh.
And I can't even remember my clues
Taking
now.
property.
You got taking property. That's what you say.
That may be what I'm, taking
How
property.
many times I had to say that? I know you the teacher and all.
So you looking at it?
Yeah.
Help me out here now. Let's see, restrictions on maximum number of housing units per acre.
Urban,
That would be a zoning,
zoning
That's
restriction?
would be under zoning.
Restriction.
Establishing restrictions in bulk zoning, I think is probably what we're looking for there, which is a zoning. Bulk zoning that establishes distance from structures to property lines.
Setback line.
Setback line, yes.
I remember that.
Permission to build a structure that is prohibited by zoning. A variance. Private restrictions on land use. HOAs, yes, that was CC&Rs that would be written into it.
Covenants and
Grouping housing on smaller lots with larger common areas. Clustering, yes, this is something that's that Edenton down on Highway 280, they did that. And
Grouping houses in smaller lots?
well, the gridiron system is what most places are set up. Everybody's getting a half acre.
Right.
Well, do you really need a half acre? How about if we just took 10% of yours, which you're not gonna miss, and put it into a big pool that everybody can use? That's how the cluster system works.
Clustering.
That's gridiron there downtown. It's kind of like a grid.
That's in houses all around.
Improving land by installing
Streets and utilities.
Yeah, who's the person that does that?
Be subdivision,
Developer.
Developer is the one that buys the big lot and then divides it up. Okay, planned community of similar homes.
Saying what?
They like to be called new home communities.
That's not, is that PUD?
PUD, river change.
I think I was looking for subdivision, I think, and that's why I put the,
Subdivision.
That's what you have now.
planned community of similar homes.
Yeah,
You have
that's,
subdivide.
yeah,
Subdivision, I'm sorry.
Okay.
that's what that is, subdivision.
Well, you got-
That one.
oh, you
It's
got-
subdivision.
I know, I need to have me a cheat sheet like that.
It is right here, you can
Look,
look.
I can use
Look, I
yours.
got it over here, but I'm trying to just keep focused.
Yeah, I shouldn't,
I know.
yeah.
See?
There's the PUD, PUD, Planned Unit Development.
And then you got the
The
mud.
MUD's the multi-use
Multi-use
development, and that's where they're going like straight up,
And
taller
then you got the
building.
barn sale.
Yes, I see bar and sale coming down here. Whoops.
And to help with the barn sale, you don't need no license.
Right.
Oh, I'm going too fast.
who-
Go on, teacher.
We had a little saying for all the people that did not need a license. Do we have that here? It should be about right there.
That did.
My property, you don't need a license to sell your own property.
Right,
An attorney doesn't need a real estate license to like settle an estate. He
right.
can sell the property.
Has authority to.
There you
what?
go. My attorney
Yes.
has authority. That's the sheriff doing like a sheriff's sale.
Yeah,
My attorney has authority as an apartment manager. Apartment managers, they don't need a license to rent properties.
right.
To sell timeshare, different license. Cemetery lots don't need a license to sell those.
Right.
Okay, a person employed on behalf of another under agency relationship, fiduciary.
Transaction.
Employed on
Just
behalf.
agents?
Agency, yeah,
Oh,
agent.
okay.
Agency, agent. Price fixing, group boycotting, allocation to customers.
Things you shouldn't do.
Yeah,
Things you shouldn't do for $5
For
hours.
$5, you said.
Price fixing.
The qualifying broker responsible for all acts of all agents.
Price fix.
That is the
Antitrust.
The
qualifying
qualifying,
broker. That
Oh,
was
that's
the
yeah.
answer you had to
I
answer.
think I was looking for supervision there.
Oh.
Maybe what I'm looking for.
Oh.
Got to be your, one of the things to be a brokerage, got to be your primary business. And it's, you get there it is, supervision of agents. A broker also has to be a signator on all the escrow accounts, and you've got to have a place of business.
Right.
And the broker cannot work another job and be a broker, right?
Well, it's got to be your primary business.
Gotta be your
There are a
primary.
lot of people that have another job and they're still brokers.
Oh, really?
I think they're kind of circumcising that law.
Yeah.
Because it's probably not their primary business. They're gonna work into it.
Oh,
But you know, a lot of people that'll skirt around the rules.
yeah.
Okay, relationship begins as a transaction broker, assisting the parties until agency is assigned.
Transaction broker?
Yeah, you
Or
just,
transaction?
I shouldn't have had that TB in there. Because that's what we're looking for, is transaction broker. That's how you start your relation, non-agency. Oh, what does the hard question, what
That's
is
it right
that?
there.
Mm.
That's hard right there.
Yeah, it is a hard test.
Reasonable care and disclosure.
These are the things that we must do for everyone. Just because we have a license, we've got to answer their hard questions. And that's honesty, accounting, reasonable care, and disclosure. and answer the questions. We must also transmit any written offers in a timely manner and disclose our interest in the deal. An agent who works for just one party, what are they?
Single agent.
Single agent. How about both sides? Dual. I see it, don't I? Kind of skipped ahead there. Position of high trust. Fiduciary. Now, that next one, what have we gone
Salute the
to?
Colonel.
Agency.
We've gone to agency. That's where we answer the hard questions,
And
plus
salute the colonel.
salute the colonel. That's confidentiality, obedience, and loyalty that we owe them a higher level. And this confidentiality goes till death. You can't, after our agency's over, I still can't use confidential information to give to anybody else.
Almost like being a
So
lawyer.
you got to take it to your grave.
Yeah, because you're going to learn stuff about folks. And
And you
that's
ain't
why a
gonna
lot of
even ask them.
your family and friends are not going to deal with you. Because you're going to learn things about them that they might not want you to know.
Right.
Credit score's 350. Well, they driving a new car and they got, wait a minute, where's all this money? Well, I don't understand. That's why they don't want you to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What they did.
So don't feel real bad when your cousin said, well, I've got another agent.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you knowing their business.
Okay.
They done filed bankrupt and started over and got everything before they got bankrupt.
That's what's happening. They don't want you knowing about it. And that's the working both sides of the transaction. What are we there?
Dual agent.
Dual agent.
Agency duty.
I lost where I was. Got
Agent,
that. There we go.
937, agent duties except
Agent
with limited
duties
loyalty and disclosure. Agent duties except with limited loyalty and disclosure. That's
They
a-
do. Or you get,
There we go.
they
There we
do.
go.
because
And
it's
that
true.
you're limiting that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, but I thought something above that was dual agency.
Agent
Yeah,
working
that's
for
dual
both sides.
agent working for both sides of a transaction.
Okay,
But
so
if
that's
you
our
do an
dual
agent,
agency.
you,
And down here, the agent duties except with limited loyalty. That's your dual agent duties.
Oh.
Different locations must have a different qualifying broker and company license.
Branch
Like-
office.
Branch
just like what
office.
you got.
Yeah, branch office. Now, one broker can work for bunches of companies if they're all in the same location.
Like this one.
Like this one, and you have a written agreement that all the different owners have signed off on saying, I know this broker is working for other companies here too. Just disclosure, because most of them are going to be okay, because a lot of times they're in different little segments of the market. But you got to have that, you file that with the Real Estate Commission too. Okay, responsible for end results but not subject to employee controls. What kind of
You almost said it. Independent.
independent contractor? Yes. Person whose efforts acquire a ready, willing, and able buyer. I'll give you the second word of it, cause.
Yeah, procuring.
Procuring cause. And that's got a gray area in it too. The law says if you produce a ready, willing, able buyer, you're due a commission.
Right.
But there's always a way that the seller can say, well, they really weren't that qualified. Or they, for some reason, they've changed their mind. You're not going to, the reality of it is you're not going to get paid unless the deal closes. That's just the bottom line. Even though it says you're procuring cause and you're due a commission, there's going to be a way they can get out of it. I'm just telling you, it's reality. Okay, a real estate, what's that thing called?
Recad.
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 And that's the recad form. First contact before any confidential information is disclosed to another. All right, property management, non-person corporation, government, what is that? An
Exempt.
artificial entity.
Artificial.
What that?
Yeah, that you
What you
don't,
say now?
Artificial?
that's what a non-person corporation or government, that's an artificial entity. I think what I was looking for here is who's exempt from RECAD.
Oh.
Property managers don't have to do a RECAD form.
Oh, okay. How come you
Yeah,
just say that, Steve?
Exempt
Well,
from
it was probably said over here.
You got exempt
Took
from
all those
RECAD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exempt from RECAD, exempt,
Okay, that's the RECAD form, okay.
not exempt.
Commercial, yeah, is commercial exempt from RECAD?
Yes.
Yes.
No,
No.
No.
Yeah.
no. No, they're not. And artificial entities are, and usually when you're dealing with commercial, you're dealing with an LLC or a corporation or something, so it's kind of goofy right through there, the way it's written. But commercial brokers, and a lot of those don't realize they have to do RECAD as well.
They don't know?
Yeah, some of them don't.
Well, when they gonna find out?
Well, when the real estate commission asks them, where are all the RECAD forms?
Whoa.
Yeah. Let's see, money held in FDIC, what's,
Deposit or
yeah,
earnest
and
money.
this has been changed, it's not just FDIC now, it's just a federally insured bank. Got to have a branch in Alabama. What's this money called?
Escrow or deposit.
Yeah, escrow, earnest money, security deposits, placing another's money, which was held in trust, into an account other than the escrow.
Yeah, I ain't gonna forget that.
Commingle.
Commingle.
And the other one, next, the bottom,
Conversion.
conversion.
If you start using that.
I don't know about commingle. Bring up somewhere it don't belong.
Control transfer.
That's risk management.
Eh?
You either want to avoid the risk, control the risk, or transfer that risk to somebody else.
Okay.
What's required for health and safety? Known structural defects, lead-based paint.
Disclosure.
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 What is not required in Alabama?
Stigmatized.
The seller
Seller
disclosure form. Ain't gonna be
There you go,
that
that's what I was looking for. Seller disclosure form not required in Alabama. You said stigmatized property. Well, we don't have to disclose that either here. Unless they can promise me the ghost is gonna stay, I don't have to talk about the ghost.
We can't.
What did we say about the law with the little girl, Megan's Law?
Megan's Law.
How does that come into play with the stigmatized property where it relates to sex offenders?
Well, the sex offender is a registry on somebody's website. We're not required to go look up anybody
But
that's...
what if we know it's a registered sex offender in that community?
Well, if you know it, I think you probably should disclose it. I think that would be a material fact.
And that's what I was asking, how does Megan, because it was talking about Megan's Law in some of the chapters, but how would it relate to, because that would be stigmatized, right? Or would that be considered
And the
stigmatized?
sex offenders come in and out. Like if one moves into a neighborhood, everybody within so many feet of
Supposed to
there
know.
gets a postcard saying, so-and-so moved into this address. Well, that may be his mama's house, and he's just getting out of prison,
Had somewhere.
and he had to have an address. He may not even actually move in there. He's looking for somewhere. And they've got to be, I think, 1,000 feet from a daycare school or anything like that. But we do not have to discover who they are and where they are. The rule on this is if you look it up for one, now we got to do it for all. Fair, equal, consistent. Treat everybody the same.
Wow.
I'm gonna be looking for that myself.
All right.
Buyer beware.
Buyer beware.
That Kevin that entrepreneur. That entrepreneur.
Caveat
Y'all
emptor.
know what I'm talking about.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Caveat emptor.
Yeah,
Now,
them.
watch them for caveat ventor. Vendor is the seller. And the seller doesn't have to be aware here.
Yeah.
Right.
Beware.
Right.
Health and safety, assumption of duty, new construction, direct. Looks like an acronym up there, written on your hand.
They wore off already.
Yeah.
It wore off, I'm
So
sorry.
those are the things that you,
If you talking about like the health and safety?
There you
Oh,
go.
okay.
These are the exemptions to
Right.
caveat emptor.
oh, okay.
Like if you
It's
know
a
there's a
hanger.
health and safety
It's
issue,
hanger.
you must disclose it.
Yeah, it's the hand.
An assumption of duty, you're their agent now. You've got a higher level of due diligence for these folks. New construction has a warranty, so the builder's you don't worry about it breaking. They're gonna fix it for you. And ask a direct question. Somebody says, does the roof leak? And you know it leaks, what have you got to say?
You got to tell the truth.
Yes, it does leak. But if they say, is the house in pretty good shape?
That's an
They didn't ask
invalid
about the
question.
roof. And it's, yeah, it's in pretty good shape, except for the
But the roof.
Place where it leaks.
leak over there.
Well, you'll find out when you hit him on the head.
Hidden structural defect.
Latent.
Latent. Easily discovered defect.
Peyton?
Patent,
Well,
yeah.
y'all know what I'm talking about.
You'll recognize it on the test.
Google it.
None except for due diligence on lead-based paint.
What is it?
That's got something to do with us.
Disclosure.
Yeah.
Agent responsible to discover. Agent responsibility to discover.
Accept due diligence on.
Well, you know, that's where the 1978 come in. And
Yeah, you got the right answer. What's the right answer say on that one? None except for due diligence on lead-based
Agency
paint.
responsibility to discover.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. You don't have, yeah, you have no duty to discover. There we go. That's what we're after.
Oh, none. Okay, none except for the agent. Well, that's
Illegal failure to disclose a material fact.
considered.
concealment.
Concealment, yeah. You know the house is falling in. There's termites in the floor here. Don't step on
We
it.
already know.
You know it. You got to talk about that because it's hidden. And they would not just discover it. Knowledge of which duty to disclose. Reliance on consumer harm comes to a party. Would that be fraud?
Yes, I do.
That's fraud. You,
Knowledge.
yeah, knowledge.
Duty to disclose.
So if you don't tell it,
Mhm.
you frauding it.
Yeah. You know about this hidden defect here. If they step on this, they could fall through to the basement.
Wow.
That is actually a health and safety.
Yeah, it is.
Remember we had one the other night that said, don't go out on the deck.
Yeah.
Don't go out on the deck. Well, I know there's a problem with the deck. I need to disclose it before they discover it by stepping on the deck and
And falling and
hurting
Like
themselves.
them children did over there in Center Point.
Alright, it's a quarter after. Why don't we take us a quick break here?
Quarter after.
Clear heads up. Yeah, time's flying. We've been here. Alright, we're back from break. Let's look at ad valorem tax. Not sure what we were looking for there.
You said real estate
According, it
taxes.
looks like I got everything.
You got real estate.
Real estate.
Real estate tax, okay, that's what it is, okay. And it's gonna vary by the zoning. Our acronym for zoning is RCA, or the old radio company, is zoning. So R is residential, C is commercial, A is agricultural, I is industrial, and S is special purpose. We'll have different tax rates on each of those. And the residential can have different tax rates on it based on whether you have a homestead claim on it, to where you're saying, yeah, I live here, this is my primary residence, and you'll be taxed at 10% of the assessed value. The assessed value is not appraised value. Sometimes it'll be close. They use a bulk system to come up with a value for all the houses in that area and just say, okay, well, all of them are going to be about this. That next one right there, I'm gonna see if we got anybody in here that likes that,
No.
seen that before.
Oh, so
Just the meal, and once you get past the 1,000, the other part is like, okay, you say do what step number 2 is,
That's why I say, bring this to something that you know, the taxes on your house, and figure out whatever the question they're asking you, figure out what it is, and they said, is that right on my house? Because where you can mess up here is having your decimal place wrong. 1/1,000 or 1/100 or 1/10 are going to give you vastly different answers. So once you've worked the problem, kind of apply it to your house. If you got a $100,000 house and it's taxed at 6 mils, that's going to be about $600 worth of taxes. And if you work your problem and it's a $100,000 house and you end up with $60,000 worth of taxes on it, you probably put your decimal place in the wrong spot. Move it over and work it again, or you may from that point say, oh, I see, it should be 600. This is one of them that it's hard to get your head around, but apply it to something you already know. Go from what you know to what's new. Okay, tax rate, apply it to tax assessment to compute the property tax. Oh, that's the millage rate. Got mill, 1,000, that's mill, and then the millage rate's that next one. Tax charge applied for improvements.
Is that special assessment?
That's a special assessment.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, sidewalks, you clue right there.
Right.
It wasn't there when you moved in.
Yeah.
Now, you may have a special assessment too, like if you're in a condominium and they're getting monthly fees from you that go into a reserve account. But let's just say the reserve account doesn't have enough money to fix the roof. Now,
I'm sorry.
they will give you a special, or put a special assessment on you to fix the roof.
Now, is that just something that the state can do, or can your HOA
No, we
do
have
that?
two different ones here. The state gives the authority down to the county, down to the city to do special assessments. That would be your sidewalk. That would be a government. The other one, the HOA, is homeowners association in your condominium community that you need a new roof. That's private. So you could have government or private special assessments.
Oh.
So what about, like we had a homeowners meeting last night, and they were talking about getting the cameras, the license plate cameras. So what would that fall under?
It depends on whether they got enough money to do it.
Well, they're saying that the HOA is getting the prices, but it's gonna be divided up between the
That's a special
homeowners.
assessment.
Okay, so it will still be a special
Yeah,
assessment.
they'll divide it up among all the owners. And so your part of this new security system is $100.
Right.
And they may allow you to make payments on that.
Okay.
Would that be outside of what you pay for your HOA right now?
It'll be in addition
It'll be in
to,
addition,
yes,
added to what she paid for her
Yes.
HOA?
yeah, and that's
Does-
private.
Does the special assessment pertain to a cooperative in any way?
Well, cooperative, a corporation owns the building, you
Right.
get a proprietary lease on your unit,
Right.
which you can actually mortgage, which you can't mortgage other leases, but
Right.
this one you can mortgage. I'm guessing that would just go into their budget, and if
For
they
the
didn't have enough
corporation,
money,
right. Yeah.
and if they didn't have enough money, they could put in a special assessment on you. I guess it worked like a condominium.
Okay.
Oh,
That was just a thought I had.
Yeah, a lot of these things you just kind of think them out,
Yeah.
and because it's common law, common sense. But Mark Twain said, common sense ain't so common.
True that.
Next one there. When you see the word lien,
Money?
money. Lien money, lien money, lien money. Thanks again, prep agent. That's another one we got from you.
More money, more money.
See, we all watching your videos.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
A lien that's placed on the property without the consent of the owner. What kind of lien is that called?
Without, that means involuntary.
Involuntary.
You don't know nothing about that?
The next one is a
Oh,
voluntary.
Yep, you know about that. Cause
Yeah.
you got to pay that.
In addition
Yes, I'm gonna
to
pay
it
that.
being voluntary or involuntary, a lien can be specific to that piece of property. A mortgage is specific to that piece of property. Taxes, real estate taxes, specific to that property. But an income tax lien is a general lien, and it goes against the person and all the property they own in that county.
Ooh-wee.
So you got specific and
General.
general, voluntary and involuntary. And then there's another two,
The mechanic.
statutory and equitable. Statutory is a tax. Equitable is like a mechanic's lien. That's somebody you did wrong, you didn't pay them, and they'll file a lien on,
Right.
specifically on your property. It would be involuntary, but it would be equitable. They love this kind of question because they can put three different things on one line and say, they could say a property tax is, and then they'll have voluntary, specific, general, and then there was the involuntary, general.
Equitable.
Yeah, they just mix it all up, and you gotta.
Piece it out.
What makes it equitable?
Equitable is the mechanic. You did him wrong.
So he put a lien
He's
on it.
putting a lien on your property for what you owe him. That's equity. Equitable. I'm just not sure what. I didn't go to law school, so I'm not
So
sure
he
how
would
that
have
works.
equitable
Rights.
rights to that property,
Yeah,
basically.
to get his money
Get
back
his
His
out
money
of it.
back out of it, that's equitable, I guess, because
Statutory is the taxes. Statutory, I guess, a special assessment for the sidewalks would probably be a statutory as well. Okay? Lien imposed by state law, tax lien from common law, okay, that's equitable. And then lien of all creditors, that's general. Lien on one specific property,
Specific,
yeah.
court order to
Court order
tax lien,
attached lien,
Turn to court, judge.
to all property owned by a debtor.
Yeah.
that's
Judge.
general. First recorded lien gets first money in foreclosure, subject to property tax. Property tax is always there. It's always an unrecorded lien. They don't have to record that, because if you're going to sell the property, the closing agent's going to send a letter to the taxing authority, the county, and say, what's owed on this right now? And that's going to get the first money at the sale. Well, what we were looking for was, what was the word?
The property tax.
first lien.
First lien, yeah, first lien. Actually, we're looking for priority of liens.
Priority.
I think that, what's
Wait a
up?
minute.
Down there on number 976, first recorded lien gets first money. That's priority, isn't it? What
We
is
should
it?
have first lien on the.
First lien?
First lien.
Okay.
First recorded lien gets first money. for
Is that priority
foreclosure.
still, or is it just
Subject to
first lien?
property tax.
Well, the first lien gets first priority.
Okay.
But priority of liens depends on when it was recorded.
Right.
Your first lien, your first mortgage is going to be the first thing that's recorded against this property. But still, the taxes jump in front of it.
Right.
Then you get
In
a,
front of the mortgage.
yeah,
Okay.
and then you get a 2 or 3 years down the road, you get a second mortgage. Well, that was recorded 2 or 3 years down here, so the
Okay.
second money goes to that.
Okay.
And it goes on down to the income tax lien is gonna be, well, it's like you didn't pay your federal taxes and they caught you.
Yeah.
Well, they'll put a lien, general lien on you, well, that may be on down here too. It's not gonna jump anywhere. It was recorded here, and if the money's left over when we get to here, then it gets some of the money. Mechanics, same thing.
Well, it's so confusing.
Well, it's the only one that, the only thing that jumps in place in priority is property tax. That jumps to the front of the line. Everything else
Is in the thing.
depends on when it was recorded.
See, I was actually thinking, when you said taxes, I was thinking federal taxes, but you mean property taxes.
Yeah, property, yeah, two different things, and they have different priorities. The property tax always first, the income tax lien, which you didn't pay, gets recorded somewhere down here.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't get to jump to the front.
It done jumped to the front. I don't know why I was thinking that it did.
See, when you
No.
said
It's
taxes.
the federal, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
No, it
Okay.
jumps way on
you
down
mean
here.
property
Okay,
tax.
okay.
And also on down there, maybe a mechanic's lien. And the mechanic's lien, it's got a little different on its priority time stamp. It may have recorded it today, but it goes back to when they started the work.
Okay.
So the date that they started the work is the date that their priority kicks in.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, it is a little confusing. Okay, second recorded, giving right to be first in line to collect in a junior position. What's that called?
Subrogation.
You have subordination.
Subordination, yes. Let's just say you've got a first mortgage on your house and you've been paying on it for 20 years and you only owe $5,000 on it, and now you want to get a second mortgage and it's going to be $50,000. The first mortgage person is still going to have priority, but the second mortgage is going to say, wait a minute, we want first priority because we got,
The larger amount.
yeah, we want to jump in front of you. So that'll be subordination. This one will subordinate their claim
Oh, really?
to this one.
because of the money.
Yeah,
Then,
it's probably gonna be a little, they're gonna get a little something for it. But they want to be first in
So
line.
they can negotiate that with
Yeah.
the first mortgage?
Yeah,
Okay.
everything's negotiable in this business. Everything.
Keep saying that.
Yeah. We're gonna, when y'all get the post license, we're gonna do a whole night on negotiating.
A whole night.
A
Whole night. Yeah, there's a lot to cover on
That's serious
negotiating.
right there.
Yeah.
A whole night. Not half of the class, but a whole night.
Yeah, the
He said
whole,
a whole night.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wouldn't bring my pajamas, huh?
I said, well, where are we here?
Buy by credit or for non-payment of debt, $9.79.
Mechanical.
70, okay. Filed by creditor for non-payment of debt for services. Okay, that's our mechanics or materialman's liens, yes.
Death pledge.
Death pledge.
Oh, why does it-
That should be include mortgage. That's what mortgage means, mortgage debt.
Yeah.
Pledge is pledge of wages until an amortized loan has a level payment for principal and interest for the life of the loan. Taxes and insurance will go up over time. So if you've got a mortgage, every now and then you'll get a note from your mortgage company saying taxes went up, your insurance went up, you got a shortage in your escrow account right now. Your payment's gonna go up, $5 a month or something. But the mortgage itself level throughout its life until it dies. Charge against property for ad valorem taxes.
Involuntary and specific.
Tax lien. Property tax.
You have property tax.
Property tax, yeah, that sounds right.
That tax lien.
Involuntary and specific.
All right.
One property.
Sale of tax debt on a property for non-payment of ad valorem taxes.
Sale.
Tax certificate sale.
That's a tax certificate. Yeah, so what you'll get, you're not buying the property. When you buy a tax
You're
certificate,
buying the debt.
you're buying the debt. And that debt, the reason they're buying the debt is there's a statutory
Limitation.
interest rate in Alabama of 12%. So when you buy somebody's $1,000 tax debt, they're gonna owe you 12% on that $1,000 until you pay it off.
Okay.
And there are other rules on paying it off and actually getting possession
You're
of the
not
property.
buying the property, you're buying the debt.
You're buying the debt. At some point, you can claim the property.
Yeah,
You gotta keep paying the taxes, and I think it's about a 7-year process before you actually can get clear title to it.
that's the tax thing they have in May? somewhere
Yes.
up in here? Okay, I got it.
Tax certificates.
Tax certificate, okay.
Right, charge, sale of property for non-payment of the mortgage debt.
Foreclosure.
Foreclosure. You can pay off the mortgage before the foreclosure under what right?
Some type of redemption.
Equitable right of redemption.
Before.
The other one is you can pay it off for 1 year after the foreclosure.
Right
That's
of
the
redemption.
statutory right of redemption. 1 year, they've got to come back and claim the property. Tax deferred exchange of a like-kind property.
Tax deferred.
There's an Internal Revenue Code number 1031 is what that's about. People that have money and property, that's the way they don't just sell the property,
No,
because then they gotta pay capital gains on it.
right,
They're gonna exchange, exchange is not like I'm just swapping.
no.
You're actually selling it and buying another one, but it's called an exchange.
Right.
And the tax code is 1031. The smart money uses that.
Like you.
Yeah. I've never had to do it. You can't do it on your personal home either.
Right.
It's got to be investment property. In arrears, behind, as with taxes, paid later.
Arrears.
Yeah, arrears, that was the word I was
Yeah.
looking for, and I
You
used
say
it.
in rear,
Yeah,
beyond,
arrears.
behind.
This tax will be paid next year. Okay, this is where I get confused now.
Okay, sole ownership.
One, severalty.
Severalty. There's your key, severed from others. And that confused me in severalty. That doesn't sound like a bunch of people,
Yeah.
Several.
but you're severed
Severed.
from others.
Severed.
Undivided interest.
Undivided interest?
Yeah, we're all in a swimming
In
pool,
tenants and
condominium, common.
Common people.
Yes, yeah, with the common people. There we go. You're swimming in the condo pool with the common people. That's common interest. You can't say the steps in the pool are mine.
No.
I've got, whatever percentage, if there's 100 units here, you got one of them, you got 1% ownership in the pool. But you can't say this part of the pool's mine.
Yeah.
Same thing with joint tenancy. You can't say, well, this half of the house is mine.
So why would you have undivided interest?
That's because you can't divide it up. You can't say
Okay.
this part's mine.
Okay.
You can have different interest divisions, like I own 50% of the 100 units.
Okay.
And so I've got 50% ownership, and other people have got the others divided up.
Okay.
But you can't,
divide.
you're dividing, even if you got 50%, you can say, well, this half of the pool's mine. Y'all stay off the steps. Can't use a diving board. That's mine too.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Undivided interest. It's just jumping in.
Yeah.
This next one, number 991 there, this is normally between a husband and wife.
Joint tenancy.
Joint tenancy, and you'll always have that with right of survivorship written in there. Must have pit, and that's the next line right there. Possession is equal. Yeah, I mean, your possession,
Equal.
undivided, your interest is equal. If there's two of you, each owns 50%. If there's 3, each owns a third. This is different from our common ownership where we can have unequal 50%, 30%, 20% owners. With joint, it's equal. However many there are, that's how many pieces there are. And it's got to be at the same time on the same title. Let's see if we got anything else there on joint tenancy. Okay, next one. Fee simple absolute ownership of the airspace in one unit, tenant in common. I think we're talking about what kind of development? A condominium. Title held by 2 or more. Co-ownership. And we had 3 different co-ownerships we had. As easy as 1, 2, 3. Well, that's actually 2. 1 is severalty, 1 owner. You can have co-ownerships with tenants in common or joint tenancy or trust. You can have 2 or 3 different people on a trust too.
So before you go any further with that, with tenancy in common and joint tenancy, they share one thing in common. Is that time? Or is that
common interest time is not the same. Common interest, people come in and out of a condominium ownership. Think of that.
okay?
People come in and out of ownership there.
Okay.
They can own it, their whole life, and when they die, their interest goes to their heirs.
Right.
Joint tenancy, you all started at the same time, and you, as one dies, the other gets their interest. It's not inherited
Okay.
to the heirs.
Okay.
They can sell their interest, and if they do, then that joint tenancy is broken between that new owner and, say you had 3 people with joint tenancy. One of them sells their interest, the other 2 still have joint tenancy. And when one dies, their interest goes to the other. But this common interest person over here, they just got their 1/3, and they can sell it on again if they want to, or die and let it go to their heirs. Or without a will, it's be intestate, and the state may cheat you out of it. Oh, we worked it all in there.
You did.
The whole thing.
That fees will be held by 2 or more multi-unit building where owners hold a proprietary lease. Lease is your key word here. On a condominium, you have fee simple. With a co-op, you have a proprietary lease on your unit.
So that's not timeshare.
No. Timeshare, you have
It's a
fee
cooperative.
simple for a period of time. The 3rd week in July is all you own. You can't just show up in October and say, I missed my week.
It's cooperative.
Okay, separate ownership, that's the condominium, separate ownership. All right, down to the next one. The holder of a lease is who?
Tenant.
The tenant, and they have another word. Who are they?
Tenant, leasee.
Leasee. Leasee. Remember, we got an E in our oars. The E's
Get E.
get E, and the oars the give or.
Rent or give or.
So the next one, the owner of that rental property is the
Leaseor.
Well, I need to make sure I put that there. Or leasee, leaseor. Let's see.
What are you looking for there?
I can't remember what I was looking for there.
Civil rights?
Wait.
I think that was the
Which one?
That was
number
something.
1,000.
Where?
Civil Rights Act of 18. That was when race. That's when they wrote the law that says you cannot discriminate on race in housing. It took
Fair
about
housing, the fair housing law.
Fair housing law. There we go. Fair housing. Now, fair housing came about in '68. It was like 100 years later. What's our answer say?
Fair housing.
Fair housing.
1866, that took me off.
Yeah, Civil Rights Act of 1866 is, the Fair Housing Law was
Later.
later, 1968.
1968 stuff,
So-
1866.
But just know that the Civil Rights of 1866 is when they banned discrimination based on race with property.
Okay.
Okay,
That's right.
Okay.
Is that Alicia?
I'm gonna have to remember
I
that.
hope so.
Alicia?
Make sure that's not
Let's
her.
see, let
Make sure it's not her.
That's Greg, right?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it
Look, that's Greg, right?
She's bringing more snacks. Well, one thing, we're not gonna be hungry today. Alright, number 01 there. Enticing owners to sell due to protected class moving into the neighborhood, also known as panic selling. Blockbusting, I heard it.
Panic selling.
Practice of channeling home seekers into a certain area.
Steering.
Steering.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Lenders refusing to make loans in a certain area.
Redlining.
Redlining. Alright, this next one, we're looking for the acronym.
Fresh corn.
Fresh corn. Fresh corn. F-R and the little E, S-H and then C and a little O, R and N.
I hope they have that out there, we just have to put that fresh corn.
We just have to say fresh
And that's
corn.
one of his acronyms.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be on there like that.
Well, this acronym was there before I started teaching. I got this from somebody. In fact,
But
just
it's not
about
gonna be on the
everybody.
test like that.
Yeah, just about everybody in the country has learned fresh corn as the protected classes. An owner occupant of a fourplex or less may discriminate in renting if no broker is involved. There's a word for that.
Discrimination.
Well,
Well, owner something.
Discrimination is what it's on.
No, because they can't, they're allowed to do it.
they are
There's a-
allowed to, and the rule is called Miss Murphy law. It was a court case with Miss Murphy that had a fourplex, and she lived in one of them, and she said, no, I don't want you living here because of one of the protected classes. They sued her, and the courts decided it's okay if you live on the property.
That you can.
Live in
That's-
all?
Yeah, if you live in one of the 4 units, if it's a 10-plex, that we use the other rules.
Okay.
It's 4-plex, 2-plex, 3,
Yeah.
anything 4 and under, if the owner lives there, they can discriminate.
Wow.
Wow.
Miss Murphy rule, it's called.
It's very fancy.
So owner discriminations would be the same, Miss Murphy.
Yeah, Miss Murphy's
Miss Murphy's.
what you're looking for there.
Wow. Learn something new.
And you gotta be truthful, identify yourself as an agent, and identify agency. What are we talking about there?
Advertising.
Advertising. Those are your 3 rules on advertising. And a personal service agreement, defined expiration date, no automatic renewals.
Listing.
It's a listing agreement, yes. Could be a buyer agency agreement, because it would work the same way. It's a personal service, a personal employment contract. I like the word agreement better than contract. It just sounds softer, like we're getting along. Contract sounds like we're headed to court.
Absolutely.
Comparative market analysis of recently sold homes. This is called a
CMA.
CMA. And remember, don't use these little acronym real estate words with your customers or clients.
No.
They don't know what a CMA is.
They don't
You tell them,
do
we're gonna gather up the properties that are sold like this in this area.
Yeah.
Comparable sales around here. Okay, the most probable price a property will bring under normal conditions.
Market value.
Market value. Values your opinion. The next one, the amount the check was written for is the
Price.
price.
Okay.
And there's another one, cost. What it costs to create an asset, but that's not related to our market value or the price. It could have been built 30 years ago. So the cost at that time has nothing to do with today's value or price. The only time you'll usually see it is in new construction because everything's equal right there. Okay, it states that broker will receive a commission, receive as commission, all money above a certain sales price.
Net listing?
Net listing, can we do those?
No.
No. How about they say you add your commission to the sales price? Can we do that?
No.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Add your commission to the
Add your
sales
commission to the sales price.
You have
You'll
to
hear
calculate,
that.
you have to calculate what the,
Right. And where do we deal with that calculation? In our T formula, remember the T, where would we deal with the seller wants you to add your commission to the sales price, and your
It'll be on the
commission's
top.
5%.
you got your
Right.
percent
You're
on
right.
right. You
If
got
it's a
your-
percentage,
It's based
it's
Right.
gonna be down here, on the bottom right. You would take that 5% away from 100%. So the seller's only gonna get 95% of the money. So they wanna get they wanna net 100,000, and that's not a net listing.
No.
They wanna net 100 after your commission's added to it. Net listings where they say, you can have anything over 100. Okay, that's where we account for that money. A for sale by owner will offer any broker a selling commission. And this is a unilateral, one-sided offer. What is this called? What kind of listing?
Open listing.
An open listing. The seller promises to pay a broker no matter who sells the property.
exclusive right to sell.
Exclusive right to sell. Next one, the seller reserves the right to sell on their own with no
Exclusive
commission.
agency.
Exclusive agency. Outstanding. Agent works for a buyer as a single agent bilateral contract.
Buyer agent.
single agency,
Yeah, it sounds like single agency. What did we have there?
Buyer.
Buyer?
Buyer agent.
Well, it works for the buyer. Oh, yeah. Maybe I should be looking here. Read this
An agent
page.
works for the buyer.
Yeah, that's a
Single agent.
buyer agency, working for the buyer as a single agent. And it's a bilateral contract. You're making two promises. I promise that I will pay you if you find the house I'm looking for. You're promising to use your best efforts to make it happen.
Yes.
So that's two-sided, bilateral. This next one must be in writing, collect a commission.
listing agreement.
Listing agreement. And the buyer's agreement works the same way. It's got to be in writing for you to be able to collect the commission. When valid deed is delivered and accepted. What we're looking
Transfer,
for.
transfer of title.
Transfers, okay.
Transfer of titles.
So we ought to have seeding here coming up pretty quick. One instrument that conveys title to property, not proof of ownership.
Deed.
The deed shows the transfer at that one moment in time. And pre-license, I talk about when my dad died, we opened his safety deposit box and there was a stack of deeds in there. I thought, I'm rich.
But he didn't still own those.
No, he didn't know. He just kept them as souvenirs. Like, yeah.
For you to go through, that's what.
Wow.
He said, I'm rich.
But it only showed the transfer at that one moment in time.
Right.
Somebody else has another deed that
Came after.
Right.
lay on top of his.
Oh, you want to be up your dad at it?
That's the first. Remains with the property. That's an appurtenant, CCNRs, condition restrictions.
That's private. It's got deed restriction private.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's your private restrictions, CCNRs.
Yeah.
And they, I shouldn't say remain with the property, I said they run with the property, would probably be a better word there. That's where they say you can't put refrigerators on the front porch.
Oh.
Front door's gotta be red or
Yeah.
mailboxes. That runs with the property. So when you sell it, the new people that bought it under the same restrictions, they can't say, well, I'm gonna make my door this color. Well, if they do, the homeowner association's gonna send them a little warning
So we,
and then a fine, and that fine will become a lien.
ain't that something?
Conveyance. What was conveyed? I think that we're dealing with deed clauses
Deed
here.
Clauses.
We got several deed clauses. What's conveyed? The premise clause says the owner intended to do this. Habendium means to have and to hold.
Like you getting married.
Yeah, yeah, you are getting married to this piece of property. And tendium means together with what other improvements are here, all the building, everything else that's on the property. I can't read.
Addendum
Yeah,
clause.
private limitations. That can be placed in the deed. This is different from CC&Rs in your homeowner association. This is a deed. Well, yes, that would be a defeasance clause in there. And also,
What's the difference between the defeasance and the redundant clause?
The addendum.
the
or-
addendum's in the deed,
Yeah.
and I guess that would be a deed clause. It'd be a clause in the deed. Y'all are probably not gonna have, the test question y'all will probably have would be, who has to sign the deed? I don't think they're actually gonna get into this level with you.
I've never seen that.
Really,
No,
no.
this is just something you need to know, because there's a lot of things you learn in real estate class you're not gonna be tested on, but you need to
Till
know.
they come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had something in there about addendum clause, you would know that's something in a deed.
Yeah. But that difference between a deed and a title, that was a for sure question, you know.
Yeah,
You
deed
got
and the
to know
title,
the
you gotta
difference
know
between the
one's
two.
evidence, the title, and one shows transfer, the
Right.
deed. That's more likely what you'll have on the test. And an encumbrance on the title that may impair transfer.
Is that cloud?
That's a cloud on the title. No expressed or implied warranty.
Quick
Use
claim.
quit claim. It's used to quiet a claim. And usually that's going to be like in a divorce, one spouse will say, I don't know what I've got, but it's yours. No expressed or implied warranty. Oh, that's what it's got. All warranties to clear title forever.
General.
That's your general warranty. And that's what you'll have on, when you do a sales contract. It's just a regular sale between two people. You usually have a general warranty deed. That's all the warranties. Then you could have other types of deeds, like a special warranty deed. That's saying, well, we held title, but we didn't damage it. We don't know what happened before then. And then you've got like the sheriff's deed, those, so we don't know what's going on with the title. Okay, warranty, person transferring title. The answer is
Did
actually.
we answer 10:30? Did we?
Yeah, we did. We're on 10. Oh, okay,
Did we answer
10:30.
10:30?
Warrants grantor received title. Property was not encumbered during ownership. That's the special.
Okay.
Special warranty.
And then who's the person that transfers title?
Grantor?
Grantor. They have to sign it.
Yeah.
It has to be delivered during their lifetime. Who's the person that gets the deed?
The grantee.
The grantee. They have to be named on the deed, but they
They
don't
don't
sign
have to
it.
sign it.
Agreement between parties to do or not do something. Sounds like a contract.
Covenant promise.
A covenant and a contract. Taking of another person's property by possession. We got Poncho in there.
You know, when I asked about that, you was gonna look it up for me.
Yes, possession,
That's as far as we got.
yeah, we got, those are the different things that have got to go on for you to get possession. The main thing you may need to know is the timelines. They're, you've got to have, I think in Alabama, it's 3 years, 5 years. Apparently you don't have to know it because nobody's told me about that. So let's don't worry about Poncho right now.
I'm sure you glad.
Okay.
Yeah, just taking another person's property
You
is.
said minimum of 3 years
Yeah, I think
and
it's-
maximum of 7
You
or something like that.
gotta do it for like 20 years.
Did we still talking about Pancho?
Yeah, let's don't talk about Pancho.
No, cause you get me confused.
I get you confused. Just, taking of another
Confused
person's
enough.
property by just using it. That's adverse possession, I think is the word we were looking for there, adverse possession.
Okay.
Okay.
Gift of real property by will.
Devise.
Devise personal property by will.
Devise.
Bequest. I keep that one in my mind. Personal property is a bouquet. And
Okay.
a bouquet would be personal property.
Yeah.
So bouquet to bequest, little short little jump.
Uh-huh.
Who's the person that died?
That's sense.
Consent.
Just,
Yes, decedent.
Decedent.
Okay.
That's the
this
person that
is
died.
solid. Tomato, tomato.
What's a supplement to a will? Codicil.
supplement,
A codicil. A codicil's where you've written your will, and you know the lawyer charged you $500 to write all this will, and 3 or 4 years later, you have another grandchild, and you had named the grandchildren in your will.
so you gotta add those.
You're going to have to add this other one.
Yeah.
And you may not want to put all grandchildren because there may be some out there you don't know about. So you would have a codicil to add this other grandchild in there.
Supplement to the will. So why don't you just say an addendum to the will?
Well, it is an
It
addendum.
is, it is.
Yeah, but it's called a codicil.
Does this sound familiar?
A codicil
Does it sound-
amendment.
Codicil is
I
the
don't
never
see this
seen
on you.
amendment.
We didn't remember. There.
Person who may inherit interest in land when the owner dies without a will.
Hair.
An heir. Yeah, they can die, they'll get the property with or without the will, but if they don't have one, they're gonna have to, I don't know how they prove they are, but
Right.
if they don't have a will, the state is gonna step in and decide who gets it.
So it wouldn't be the heir, right? Person who may-
Yeah, a person who may inherit without a will,
Oh, who may inherit it.
may
Okay, the
inherit
state
without a
determines
will.
that this person, okay,
That's
may inherit an
cheap.
heir.
The person who who's the person who dies without a will? What are they called?
A fool.
Without intestate.
Intestate.
State.
A written instrument that provides for transfer of property by a deceased.
Will.
That's a will. Court process to determine who will inherit.
Probate.
Probate. Yeah, when you die, it goes to probate, and you've got all your debts, everything else drops into the probate court, and then they decide how things are distributed.
If you don't have a will, it does that? Or if you have a will, it doesn't do that, is that right?
I think it's gonna go to probate
Regardless?
regardless.
Okay.
We actually have one of
No,
our,
would it if you have an executor?
still gonna go to
It
probate.
does?
It goes to probate regardless. and
See,
they
the
make
probate's where you gather, it's an accounting.
Uh-huh,
Who do you owe? What have you got?
right.
And then there may be, the court may have to actually create a deed for the property.
Okay.
That would be a, what's that kind of deed called? Executor's will. That'd be the person that has an executor. Be a, what's the word for that deed?
What you talking about? A restriction?
No.
Now,
Transfer?
there's a word for a deed that the court creates, maybe court.
Wait a minute.
court, Greg?
Yeah, don't worry about that. My mind just wandered off there for a minute.
They say you so
It's
smart.
getting close to lunchtime.
It's time. right?
Blood's draining out of my brain now,
Oh,
coming
It must be
down.
11 o'clock. Oh, it's 10 after 11, it's lunchtime for them.
That's right, it's lunchtime. We take a lunch from 11 till 2.
I know that's why I said, okay, it's
Rules
lunchtime.
that office.
Is that how it works? I mean,
That's how it works. I haven't told you all the benefits of being a,
No, you haven't.
yeah. We gotta get you over the,
And then tell me the benefits.
yeah.
But you can't help me get over with the benefits.
Yeah, we come in at 10, then go to lunch at 11, come back around 2, and get off at 3.
No, they do that overseas.
Call it a day.
2.5 hours of work.
Oh, wow. Just showing up.
Yeah.
This will be edited, it better be edited, I mean, better be edited.
Where are we?
Oh, thank you.
We're gonna supplement.
Where are we?
We're at power of attorney, then we're at mortgage.
What number?
Show me what number.
146.
Okay.
46, all right. Amortized loan
Mortgage.
includes principal, interest, mortgage. And that's an amortized mortgage.
Amortized loan.
Loan is due upon sale of property. What's that clause called?
Alienation.
Alienation. And the other one you need to know, the
Is the
loan's
one that-
due
The
Which
one,
one?
acceleration. That's the one. Those are
acceleration.
two I mix up.
Talk it through, go on, talk it through.
Acceleration, and what else?
Acceleration.
These two right here.
They'll throw you.
Yeah, these,
Okay, I
you
know,
got,
that's Delta.
if it's due upon sale, that's alienation. You missed your payments,
Yeah.
and that's in default, all of the payments accelerate.
Go
Go
fast.
fast. Yeah.
All due today. Well,
Red
I couldn't pay the ones that were due the last 4 months.
That's what
I'm
I'm
gonna pay
saying,
them all
all at the
today.
same
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
yeah. I get thought.
Assets pledged to secure a debt.
Collateral.
Collateral.
That's a good one.
What's the amount of loan, of the loan?
The principal.
That would be your principal. Primary evidence of the debt. Promissory note. The mortgage has got two pieces to it. One's a promise to pay, and the other one's a security instrument that gives them a lien on the property. So if you don't pay, they can take the property. But Alabama's a title state, so they've got to take you to court. They can't just take your property, show up one day, say, get out. It's judiciary, so they got to take you through the court system.
What was the other one besides judiciary? The foreclosure?
Strict.
Okay.
Strict foreclosure.
But
That
we
would be more like being owner financed, where the owner actually still has the title.
Okay.
And it's a quicker process. Amount of loan evidence. we're-
1052.
52. All right, there's another acronym.
It's pity,
Pity.
Pity.
There we go. It's a pity the payment's so high.
but you, the one that's Timmy,
Interest.
that's something different.
Yeah, Timmy
Timmy
is, that's your partner in every deal you do.
Okay.
T is taxes, I is
Interest.
interest.
Timmy.
No, not interest, insurance.
Insurance.
Taxes, insurance, mortgage, and maintenance. And even if you're doing your own maintenance on the rental property, it's still a cost.
Okay.
So, but that's in property
That's
management.
on that. Okay.
Okay, these are our ratios. Conventional, 28% of your gross income can go to your house payment. That's principal and interest. And I guess taxes, insurance would be on there too. And it's going to be your housing cost. 36% total debt, that's when they add your car payments, student loans, other long-term debt. And that can only be 36% of your gross income. FHA, I printed that's wrong, it should be 20, 28%. I got 29% on there. There's 28%, that's your front end. And then the back end is 41%. VA is 41, just front and back end. They don't look at a front end number with VA.
And what was the 28 on the housing? Example, you said housing cost.
That's your housing cost, that's your pity.
That's your pity.
28% of, if you're paying 28% of your gross income on housing costs, that's a pity. A lot of people are paying way more than that. We talked about rentals. If you're making minimum wage, you cannot rent a one-bedroom apartment anywhere in the country.
That's what you said.
So they would be over 28% if they were working on minimum wage. Okay, next one, on mortgage closing statement, an amount that's owed.
Bad.
Debt. Debit. Debit is debt. And the other one is a
Credit.
Credit.
Credit is good.
credit is good, debit is bad. The list of all debits, yeah, that would be your net sheet. Closing statement would be another one. What's an impound account?
Escrow.
That's an escrow account that the mortgage company will set up for you. And they actually charge, I think it's $75 to set that account up. And then they will put, I think the next line is what they're putting in it. There we go. At closing, some items have to be prorated, prepaid. And then 1/12 of your taxes and your insurance will be collected from you each month and go into this impound escrow account. So when it's due next time, the mortgage company's got enough money to pay it. They're not going to leave it up to you to pay the taxes and insurance. Yeah, they have a vested interest that those two items are paid. Okay, items split between parties such as prepaid, you know, what's that split called?
Proration.
A proration. Got another acronym here. RESPA. Now this is a federal law that just pretty says do not give any kind of kickbacks or rebates to anybody for any reason. They don't have a dollar limit on it, so well you can go up to $100. No, it says no kickbacks. Okay, we got recording fees here. I don't know if you got recording fee questions on the test or not, but
Never heard of
you need to know this for your net sheets. You need to know that your deed has a tax of $1 for every $1,000 of value. So you got a $100,000 sale, you're gonna have $100 worth of deed tax. Mortgage also has a tax on it of 15 cents per 100,000. So if you had a $100,000 mortgage, that's going to be what, 15 cents? I mean $15 worth of tax for the mortgage.
So where does the deed come into play? The deed tax?
The deed tax and your closing statement. When you do a net sheet, you also put it on there because that's a cost to whichever part where you're selling, you're representing the seller. They're going to have to pay, I mean, no, the buyer. The buyer's going to have to pay a tax to record it because you do want this recorded. That's constructive notice. So anybody else that comes along says, oh, somebody else owns this. Well, the tax man's going to get his cut. He's always, Pete's there.
Yeah.
T's always there. But there's a fee. There's also like a per page fee. But just y'all probably not taxed on just on your closing statement. You got to do this. Your net sheet. Well, $100. Well, if it's a $300,000 house and it's got a $250,000 mortgage on it, well, there's what $400 worth of cost that you've got to say, hey, you're going to have these costs. Be aware, and it'll be a debit to you.
Wow, I don't know anything about that. That's recording fees?
Those are recording fees.
Oh,
Good.
All that's on the net sheet. Oh my God.
That's crazy.
I need to look at that a little bit closer.
The difference in what mortgage providers pay for funds and what's charged to the buyer.
Points? No.
This is the margin. So the mortgage companies, when you go to them and say, I need a loan, they're going to say, okay, we got an origination fee, and we got this fee and that fee. Well, that's not much money for the amount of work that they're doing. If y'all ever been through a mortgage, those guys do way more work than we do. I mean, they're working and working and working. They're not going to do that for just the origination fee. That's really just the commission to the guy that's doing it. But the company itself, the mortgage company's got to make some money. They got overhead. That's where they have what's called a margin. They are going to loan it to you based on your credit rating and your income, all your conforming standards. They'll loan it to you for 4%. Well, if they are paying 4% for that money, they're not making anything. So they're going to loan it to you for 4. Well, they know they can get it over here for 3 7/8. So that little bitty difference there is the margin. That's the mortgage company's profit. That's how they make their money.
But is that like if you're using a mortgage broker versus going
Anybody.
directly?
Anybody.
So even if you go direct to
Yeah,
the lender?
there's a split there. Even if you go to Wells Fargo, they got to make money.
Yeah.
So they're going to loan it to you for 4. Well, they're probably selling it back into the market too, into Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Yeah.
So they can get it down here, or else they wouldn't be in business. And you know, they got really nice buildings.
No, they gotta pay for them.
Yeah, somebody got to pay for
They
that.
glance and chrome.
Yeah, it's,
They don't usually tell you about the margin, but it's there. All right, what is the document that gives investors, or it shouldn't be investors, it should be,
Faith in lending?
Blue sky laws, I
Yeah.
still don't understand that one.
yeah, there we go, investors. That's the blue sky laws. That's recent on the test. Blue sky laws, there were people that did mortgage fraud, not mortgage fraud, but investor fraud. They're selling you just blue sky. There's nothing there. We're going to build this building, and they're going to start taking money in from people to build this building, but they're really not going to build the building. They came up with blue sky laws saying, okay, you've got to file all these documents saying here's what exactly you're going to do, where's the money coming from, all expenses. You got to put the whole program together and give it to the investor. Here's what's really going to happen. That's called a blue sky law. So we're going to show you what's up in the blue sky. Because a lot of people got defrauded because they weren't getting enough information to make good decisions.
so
Just
that's how they
doing like-
came up with the blue sky law.
That's what blue sky laws are. That's to give investors more information on the project where they're putting their money into it.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
But there's nothing there.
Well, that's what they were selling blue sky. So they named the law blue sky laws.
So they can't just sell.
They can't just sell the blue sky.
That's right.
So like empty premises?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
yeah, empty promises is what they were selling.
Okay.
But now they've got to document, here's they can still defraud you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a business, they have to
Business
create a
plan,
business plan of
yeah.
some sort
Yes,
on what they're doing in
Have
order for
something
investors.
tangible.
Yes.
For
Okay.
you to
Okay.
Yes.
look at.
So it's a
they
blue
lying,
sky.
cause you can look up at the sky, but ain't nothing up there for you to get, so they still lying.
yeah,
Mm.
good too.
Okay.
But this
Wow.
is some kind of protection for you.
Gotcha.
Okay,
It don't make no sense.
Too much.
what's the thing that allows a surveyor, let's see,
What type of
Fine
survey?
allows surveyor to find the boundaries of the property?
A survey.
A survey.
Legal description.
Legal description, that's what we're looking
Allows
for.
to find
Legal description.
boundaries of property.
And the address is not enough. There are a lot of 123 Main Streets.
Yeah, meets and bounds.
Okay.
What type of survey do you have a point of beginning and you have meets.
Meets and bounds.
Yeah, meets and
You just-
bounds. So you have meets and bounds.
Boy,
Thank
it's
you for
time
the
you,
answers,
you better
Steve.
use
Time
some
to eat.
light, I'm telling you.
Y'all starve me up here
Thank you
now.
for the answers, Steve.
So meets and bounds are
No more
surveyed.
coffee.
Well,
Oh, he
Points
hungry.
and
Yeah.
meets and bounds.
what are the points that mark the meets and bounds?
Monuments.
Monuments. Those are called monuments.
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause they do it on there too.
A government survey method that creates townships and ranges.
Rectangular.
Rectangular survey, also called government survey.
Yeah.
For every, you've got east-west lines that run every 6 miles, starting at a baseline. And then we have intersecting range lines. What are these things called?
Township,
Townships.
cause they
Yes.
6x6, 36x1, I had to get that all together.
I'm still confused on that.
On what? On which one?
On the township, I know they
Town
6
limits
miles
in
by
general.
6 miles, cause there it is right there.
Well, we're fixing to go a
Oh,
little
okay,
deeper
you
on
got
it
a
right
little
here.
further down.
Yeah.
You got a meridian. Here in Alabama, we've got 2. Up here in our area, we deal with the Huntsville Meridian. That's the line that runs north and south through Huntsville.
Mhm.
Now, anything west of that line is called west. Makes sense. Anything east of that's east. So if you say our baseline here is the Tennessee-Alabama state line. So everything south of that is going to be south. So here in Hoover, we are about 19 townships south and about 3 west of Huntsville. So you could say, all right, we're in township 19 south, 3 west, Huntsville Meridian. That puts you within 6 square miles of the earth. That's all you need to know to get us there.
Okay.
Remember Thomas Jefferson came in and told us about, he's the one that created this system of the ranges, and that was so they could say, all right, here's where this property is. Where the meets and bounds, you can say, well, it's about, 15 miles from the Rocky Mountains. Well, that's, we're in the Rocky Mountains. But with the township, you can say 19 south, 3 west, Huntsville Meridian. That puts you in a 6 by 6 mile square
Huntsville Meridian.
right here. Yeah, you have to have the meridian named. And then there's no other Huntsville Meridian in the United States. Down in South Alabama, they have one called St. Stephen's Meridian.
Okay.
So everything down there is going to be based on St. Stephen's Meridian.
Okay.
And it's over on the west side of the state, so most everything will be, it'll come from the Florida line, so it'll be Township 4 north, 4 east. So that puts you about 24 miles north of the Florida line, and about that far from the Mobile's kind of where the line is.
Is that gonna be on there?
Yeah, meridian may be. How do you define meridian? And your description on a rectangular survey is going to be based on a meridian. So you got to have the meridian name in there. All right, now how these townships work, we got the baseline, and every 6 lines we got another line, township line. Where they intersect with the range lines, these are called townships. The townships broken into what? Sections. How many sections are in a township? 36. They start numbering where?
From right to left.
Yeah, it goes backwards from the way we're used to reading. It starts at the top over on the,
right.
yeah, let's look at this way. It's going to be on this side, and it comes back this way. It drops down one.
Snakes
Then
around.
Yeah, like a snake going back and forth.
So that's the POV.
No, that's just how you name the townships.
Like that.
I mean, the sections. Yeah, they're squares.
Okay. Yeah, you showed us a picture from the airplane.
Yes, that's what they look like.
Okay.
And the section is 1 mile by 1 mile.
Right.
And there's 36 of those
Right,
in one.
right.
The number 16 is also known as the school section. They took the money from the sale of that one to create schools. That doesn't mean there is a school in
Right.
section 16.
It's school
When
money.
you're going this way, reading it, is that based on townships?
The township is your basic block.
Right, and within
Yeah.
that, it goes that way.
Yeah, inside that's the sections. They're the ones that run like that. Now your question is gonna be, which section is north of number 1? Well, all these things look like Lego blocks. They all fit together, they all look just alike. So if you take one and put it on top of another, you need to know, all right, well, one, and it ends up as 36 is over here. So if this one was sitting on top of that one, you may have to draw one out on your paper. So you can say, okay, there's that one. If it's north of that, it's going to be this one. They need to know you can determine north from south, east from west. Because in the real estate business, that may be important.
Oh, come on now, it is or it ain't.
It is.
Okay.
Oh my.
Don't make it difficult for the old girl.
I'm trying to keep this as tight as I can. on
Yeah.
this. Your sections have 640 acres in each one of them. That can be divided down into quarter sections, which can be divided into quarter sections or half sections. And if you need to know where one is, you go backwards.
Right.
You'll have, so we got one up there that's got a,
No,
I don't see one.
no.
Let's just keep moving where we are. We've got an acre. That's one of the numbers we had written on our hand. 43,560 square feet in an acre. All right. From that, you got to say, how in the world am I going to remember that number? Because there's no way to remember it. So I had a surveyor in here one time. He said, here's the way they taught us. The 4 plus 3 is 7, and the 5 plus 6 is 11. So if you'll stop at the 7-Eleven store, they can tell you how big an acre is. 43,560. Keep it square in your head. A football field. You've all seen a football game. A football field from goal to goal, side to side, is 45,000 square feet. So that's just a little bigger than an acre. A Walmart store, one of those super centers, they're 120,000 square feet. So they're about 3 acres. If you can get a couple of those in your head and somebody says, well, how big do you think this piece of property is? Well, I can put about 2 football fields there, so it's about 2 acres. You don't want to get real exact.
Yeah.
Just say about 2 acres. Because to get real exact, it's 208.71 feet squared. You don't need to get that close. It's about an acre. Another thing that you need to know is how big a mile is.
I know
I
that.
have to, I think.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we were in the 5th
It's
grade.
been a long time.
Long time. So we got a little memory technique for that. An acre's got a mile's got 5,280 feet in it.
Right.
Going like that. All right. We got a highway here called Highway 280. And if you were in Homewood, you could go 5 miles down Highway 280 to get to Oak Mountain.
That's your 5,280.
So 5,280. That's how many feet are in a mile. Because they'll give you a question on the test that you're going to need to know how many feet are in a mile. They'll say, how many feet of fence does it take to go around a section? All right, well, you got to know it's a section. It's 1 mile by 1 mile. So if we're going to go around it, it's going to be 5,280 times 4. They're not just going to give you all softball
No.
questions.
They're not gonna say how many miles are in there.
No.
Just like the question he gave, you got to figure out which one of these numbers am I using? Am I using 43,560 or am I using 5,280?
Right.
You know, but you got to read the question and figure out, because it's not gonna say acres, it's gonna have, just like he said, yeah.
How many feet of fence to go around it? They may even make it a little harder and say, how much is this fence gonna cost if the materials are
82 cents.
82 cents per square foot,
See, that's like I'm gonna need that extra
and the
time.
fence is 7 feet tall.
That's why I'm gonna need that extra time.
So, they're not, you're gonna get some softballs,
Yeah,
but most of them it's gonna be a 2 or 3 step
right.
problem in math. Fortunately, only 10 questions of math, but that's 10% of your
That's
general
what I'm
knowledge.
saying, and you got to know that, cause I need to know how I'm gonna get paid.
You need to know, stop at the 7-Eleven store.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go down Highway 280, 5 miles down Highway 280.
That's right.
Yes.
You gotta keep, those are the kind of things you
Yeah.
gotta just have up here when you sit down for the test.
That's
But
right.
like she said, they're not gonna say they're 5,280 feet, they're gonna say it's a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 5
now, yeah, I got to remember that.
But the
Okay, we got all that down. We got meets and bounds, and we got a rectangular survey. What's our other survey called?
Government.
And we got government rectangular, that's the same thing.
Rectangle.
And we got meets and bounds, that's the oldest one. That's the
Meets
one
and
that Thomas
bounds,
Jefferson
oldest
did.
a spot.
We have one other kind of survey.
A sketch.
We got the rectangle.
Lot and block, yes, lot and block. A lot and block survey is going to be recorded in the county, and it's going to have the state, the county, the subdivision name, then it'll have block number and lot number. Those 5 things, you can pinpoint that piece of property anywhere in the country. So you got 3 kind of surveys. The oldest one, meets and bounds. Then they came up with the rectangular survey around 1800, and then the lot and block. Lot and block can refer to one of these others. The lot and block may say it's in section so-and-so. They can refer one from the other, but you just need to know what the 3 are. Okay, we got that. Lot and block, got that. Okay, survey, you got 2 different words for survey. One's a spot or as-is survey, and that will have the structures drawn out on it. You got a house built on it, it'll have the house drawn out. That's Spot's house on this survey. The other one's called a sketch survey, and that'll just have like the boundaries. Okay. What is used by surveys to measure distance? Meets and elevation.
This about meets and bounds, this one.
Benchmarks.
Benchmarks. Benchmarks are gonna, I know we had a picture one in class.
We did.
A little brass thing about that big, that's a benchmark.
Evulsion?
Avulsion.
Avulsion, there you go, avulsion. That's why I put Vulcan in there. The word is avulsion. I don't know if y'all looked at Vulcan real close downtown, stands up on that hill, big iron man.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any pants on.
Well, he up there naked then.
He got a little apron on, but he doesn't have any pants on. So, avulsion is where there was a sudden action of water that moved through Birmingham and knocked his pants off.
Hush your mouth. And he been naked all the time.
No,
I gotta use,
partially dressed.
yeah, I gotta use gimmicks. That's avulsion.
Flashing the whole city.
Yeah, that is butt showing.
I don't know.
What is a lease for an exact time?
1 year, at least for an exact time.
A state of
In
use.
state.
Yes.
A state of use.
So if they could use-
Years.
1 year.
So
You're
this is
right,
exact
Tennessee
time.
is, okay.
We're gonna get to, in just a couple of lines, we're gonna get to the different kinds.
Yeah,
This is an exact time. That's a period.
period.
All right. This lease will continue from period to period. Well, I should say this lease continues month to month, because I gave you the name there, period to period. That requires a notification. Your lease is a month to month. I've got to give you a 1 month notice that you got to go.
After the 1 year.
No, you could start out as a month to month lease.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could start out, yeah, I'm just going to be month to month, and I don't know how many months I'm going to be here, but sooner or later, one of us is going to say it's time to go. So you got to give that 1 period notice. Your period may be a day to day, year to year. As long as it's something to something, it's called a period.
Okay.
The years is stated. It goes through October of 2020. That's a
Period.
Periodic.
In the statement.
Yeah, that's-
Another year.
It's there for years.
What you trying to say?
I'm trying to say these things are hard to remember. Which one is which?
Oh, yes, I know, and you hungry.
So, came up with this one.
Okay.
Period.
A period for years will be a tenancy at sufferance. So if you got a period that lasts for years, it's going to be a sufferance. So this first one, the period is month to month. Years is a set time. You don't have to have a termination notice with that one because it was set up in the beginning. It terminates at this date. At will is where Will moved into your house and he's there and you're okay with it, he's okay with it. You're going to have to give Will a notice, or he's going to have to give you notice, I'm leaving, but it doesn't say how long, because you never set up, I'm here from week to week or month to month. It's just, I'm going to be here for a little while. My wife kicked me out of the house, I got to have somewhere to live, and until I can figure that out, can I stay with you? Right, you didn't, but okay. Another one's at sufferance. Sufferance is Will moved in and he won't leave. Actually, it should be from one of the other types where you had a period to period or a tenancy at for years is actually, I guess, where that would apply the most. You had a termination date, or we told you to be out at a certain date. We gave you that 1 period notice. You should be out of here October 31st, and you're still here, it's the middle of December. We're suffering because of that.
Yes.
So that's a lease at sufferance. Yeah, I like that little gimmick. We shouldn't just teach you gimmicks. We have to explain what's going on and use the gimmick to tie it together. And if you can pull up one piece of it, like if they say, what are the different types of leases? If you could just get one that you can remember, you can come back to one of these memory techniques and say, oh, I remember now. And you can walk through it. Okay? We got 2 different kinds of eviction. And it's called an unlawful detainer, not an eviction, even though that's what everybody knows it as. Got 2 different kinds. We got one where the tenant won't pay, and we say, you got to go. We're going to take you to court. An unlawful detainer, that's an actual eviction. We're actually evicting you. Believe me, I promise, we're going to do it. We're actually going to do it this time. The other one's constructive eviction. That's where the landlord won't fix the heat. It's January, it's really cold. I've called you 3 times today. The heat's got to be fixed. I've called you 3 times a day too. Why aren't you answering the phone? I called you 3 times. I've sent you 4 texts. I've emailed you. I've been by, banged on the door. I got to get the heat fixed. Well, you got 14 days to get the heat fixed. And if you don't get it fixed, then the tenant can move on.
In 14 days.
Fourteen
you know,
days.
Yeah.
Electric heaters won't
Crazy.
work in 14 days.
That is so crazy.
But they can, it's called constructive eviction. It's kind of backward eviction.
Yeah.
But they can move out and then
They
sue
beat
you
themselves.
Yeah.
for damages.
Mhm.
Okay, where are we? I kind of got sidetracked. I got to talking.
Tenant, no, tenant, no.
Tenant.
Tenant would not leave,
possession.
tenant would not leave.
Yeah, tenant won't leave. That's a tenancy at what? Sufferance. Tenant renting to a third party.
Subletting.
Subletting. All right. The question I've heard is, you have a lease with the landlord and you lease it to someone else.
Right.
What is your lease called now? A sandwich
A
lease.
sandwich
Oh,
lease.
sandwich?
Yeah,
A
that's true.
sandwich
Cause you in the
lease.
middle?
Yeah, you're in the middle of this sandwich.
Okay.
Oh, my.
We just called a sublet?
Well, you're
whole process
subletting it
is
to
a
someone
sublet.
else, but your position now is called a
It's a
sandwich
Okay.
lease.
So,
Aren't y'all glad y'all came this morning?
sandwich and sublease is not the same?
Well, you've got to have a sublease to have a sandwich.
So sublease is the whole process. It's
Well,
everything.
You held a lease, and now you've leased to someone else. That's a sublease.
That's a sublease,
And
yeah.
now you become a sandwich in the middle of these two.
Wow,
Gotcha.
I just think that's crazy.
Landlord pays ownership costs such as TIM,
Gross
gross lease, and
On the landlord.
I believe our lunch is here.
I'm glad.
Let me go.